So while you're watching this, someone out there is complaining about your competitor, like right now. They're on Reddit going, hey, does anyone else's dashboard just not load? Or they're on X asking if there's an alternative because support ghosted them for 2 weeks. And here's what kills me about this. The person already has the problem you solved. They're already paying someone to solve it, and they just told the whole internet it's not working out. You literally could not design a better lead than these people, and almost nobody sees these. So today, I want to show you how I catch these leads across the internet and how to actually reach out to them without being super weird about it. And I'm also going to show you how you can turn this seemingly annoying workflow into something that just takes a few minutes out of your morning. But okay, a quick bit of theory because it changes how you trade interact with these people on the internet. Because you see, with a normal cold lead, you're fighting 3 different fights at once. Do they even have a problem? Do they even believe a tool can fix it? And why should they pick your tool specifically? Look, most cold outreach dies on fight number 1. But somebody complaining about your competitor has skipped past all of that. They have the problem, that's why they bought the thing in the first place, and they obviously believe in paying for a solution. They're doing it right now. The only open question is who they are paying, right? And they just publicly said, hey, not this guy, right? And the catch is that this window closes super, super fast. Someone asking for an alternative on Monday has probably picked one by Friday after. If you show up on day 1, you're the person who happened to be around when they needed help. And if you find that post a month later in some quarterly report, then they're gone. And they've onboarded with someone else and it's completely over. Speed is the whole game, and I've talked about that in my last video, but more on that later. So you have to see it fast, filter things out, reply like a human. I'm going to show you how to build exactly that. But let's go through some simple tactics first, and please don't skip this part because done badly, this whole strategy backfires. You've probably already seen the bad version, when someone complains and within an hour, there's a reply that goes like, hey, sorry you're dealing with this. You should check out our product, link below. Everyone can smell it. It's embarrassing for the person, it's embarrassing for the brand, and honestly, the competitor comes out looking even better. Rules are pretty simple and obviously don't apply all the time, but generally speaking, you have to be useful before you pitch. Sometimes the first message shouldn't even mention your product at all. And importantly, and I guess you can make your own rules here, do not trash your competitors. The complaint is already doing that for you, and you dunking on them adds nothing. Well, I know sometimes it's tempting, but let's try to avoid that, right? And say who you are, right? Just be earnest and honest about the fact that you're working at this company or you're the founder. That's what I do. That makes people trust you more, not less. If you get these 3 basic things right, it stops feeling like an ambulance chasing and feels like you're showing up when someone asked. So the setup. Look, the manual version of this is literally just scrolling and searching through Reddit and X or LinkedIn for your competitor's name every single morning. And I can tell you from experience that lasts about 4 days before you stop. So instead of doing that, we can just automate the whole process. This is my setup in BrandJet. We have a competitors tab, and you can add each one as a tracked entity. And the keywords matter more than people think because you want the brand name, sure, but you also want the mixed spellings, the versus posts, and the other phrases that people are obviously using, like competitor alternative, competitor versus, and these 2 alone are worth the whole setup. Then you also have to pick the platforms. If you're B2B, then Reddit and X are where people are most honest, and that's also where you'll see the most volume of keywords and mentions coming in. One extra tip in case it's useful, you also want to track the generic pain phrases to your category without the brand name. Something like, hey, why does my tool keep doing this? Or hey, looking for a best outreach tool. Stuff like that. You'll catch frustrated people who never bothered naming the vendor, or even maybe they're at the top of the funnel, right? Let that run for a few days and you've got a live feed of every public complaint about everyone you compete with, and even people who aren't aware of their competitors. Which creates a whole new problem now, right? How do you filter all of this? Because you really can't go through a bunch of different social feeds every single day, even if you're automating the collections. I'm going to show you how to do that easily on the BrandJet tab. So first, you obviously want to head over to the mentions feed and click on the filter button at the top right corner. Pick the platforms that you specifically want to monitor for, in this case, Reddit, X, LinkedIn. And after that, you want to pick the sentiment. In this case, I'm picking negative because we want the feed to update with people who are complaining or talking negatively about our competitors or within our niche on the social feed. An interesting thing to note that on the BrandJet dashboard, you can also see sentiment dash, right? Because spikes on the sentiment dashboard are events. And a sentiment spike could mean an outage, a price hike, or a redesign that people hate. A pricing spike especially, that's dozens of customers all reshopping in the market on the same day. It's going to be the best day of a quarter if you can get it right and if you're paying attention. Within the complaints, I mentally sort everything into 3 different kinds of files. Number one, obviously, are people who are venting, saying things negatively about your competitor. You either want to reply with a helpful response or just leave these alone. Number two are people who are stuck. Something like, hey, how do I get things to do that? Right? Now, these are interesting, especially if your product just does exactly the thing that they're looking for, right? You want to be there every single time. And number three are people who are leaving, saying things like, hey, seriously looking for alternative. Hey, not happy with my current plan. I'm looking for other options, right? These are the ones you want to answer today, not tomorrow, today, right? Now, on to the very important part, because this is where most people blow it, the actual messages that you want to send. Now, first off, you want to try and answer them in the same channel that you found them on. Of course, BrandJet gives you the options to reply directly or use an agent to reply for you on whatever channel that you find these mentions on, right? Sending a cold DM immediately after seeing these makes it feel kind of creepy because it makes them feel like you're stalking them, which technically you are, but it's all public, so it's fine. Now, if you see a post on Reddit with something like, hey, considering dropping my current tool, the reporting exports have been broken for a month and supports keep closing my tickets. Here's what roughly I would send. I'd go with something like, hey, being upfront, I work at BrandJet, so I'm obviously not neutral here. But exports are something we're pretty obsessive about, and if you end up shopping around, I'm happy to give you a quick look. I think you'd also like the fact that we're far more cost effective as well. Either way, I hope this gets sorted out, but if it doesn't, I'd be happy to show you what we've been building. Look at what's doing the work there. It names the actual problem in their words. Broken exports, closed tickets, not some vague, hey, saw you're having issues. And very importantly, I'm admitting the bias upfront. It makes exactly one claim instead of listing the features I have. What I would never write is something like, hey, I completely understand your frustration, or I'd love to hop on a quick call, or anything with the word streamline. Because the moment it sounds like a sales sequence, you've lost the deal. And let's set our expectations right, because this might be 5, 10, or even 15 leads in a given week. Small numbers, but these people replied because you're not really interrupting a stranger, you're answering someone who asked out loud. And to make my life easier, I just use Artemis and ask her questions about the social feed so I don't have to go through all of them myself. You see, Artemis filters the feed, analyzes what's being said, and tells me patterns, and lets me know if there's something that I should actually be responding to. And that's genuinely it. 15 minutes a day. Scan, sort the piles, send a handful of messages that sound like the one that I showed you, or even better, perhaps, right? And meanwhile, somebody at your competitor's company is buying a cold list of 10,000 people who never asked to hear from anyone. I know which side of the trade I want to be on, right? So quick recap. Track your competitors everywhere with their customer complaints. Filter for unhappy plus about to leave people, right? Reply like a person who's actually useful and automate the boring parts so that you keep doing this. And of course, everything I showed on screen was our BrandJet dashboard. It's a platform that helps you manage and do all this cost effectively and at scale super easily, right? Links in the description, and the competitor setup takes about 5 to 10 minutes. That's been me. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.